Well, view is good. I'm not seeing you yet. Yep, give that a try. Oh man, I should have cleaned up my office. Oh well, now you know. Look, here you come.
There you
Hi.
go. Hi, how you doing?
Good, and I'm a little bit better because I got to see your smiling face.
Yeah, well, thank you. Glad to see you too.
I am just.
I'm not particularly computer literate, so.
You know, everyone has their strengths, and if I could write like you, I wouldn't bother with the computer at all.
Oh, thank you. That's kind.
I'm pretty serious. My mom is a fan. She's going to be jealous.
Oh, well, tell her hello for me.
I will. You've met her at the con a couple times. And Joe, I just have to own up. I'm going to have to think of another way to do something. I had said way back when, and my eyes were bigger than what I could do, that I would reach out to Casey and Keith. And I would still love to figure out a thing to do with them, but I didn't reach out to them because I was running out of bandwidth. So just so you know, I didn't forget.
All right, you did what you could. No. You did what you could.
So, but we hope people have enough fun. This isn't as big as the usual thing, but we hope they have a good time.
Yeah, no, there's always next time
there is.
With him. You know, he just had a movie. My son just had a movie come
I know.
Out.
I was wanting to fuss about it. So maybe we can find another way to fuss about it before waiting for the next ArmadilloCon.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff going on about it. So, oops, I think
good.
I think I'm getting a double sound. Let me turn off my phone.
All right.
And see if we're getting sound here. Can you hear me now?
I am not hearing you now.
All right, wait a minute. Can you hear me now? Nope.
Oh, are we good now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. I hear you.
Okay, we're good. You can hear me now, right?
I've got an echo though when I talk, and I'm not sure why. I'll ask my husband.
Is your phone on?
Hey, Eric. I've got Joe Lansdale getting ready for his session. If I try to talk to him, I get feedback. I'm not sure why. And if I turn up my sound, I get feedback, and I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Do you have your phone on?
And I'm just
there. Oh,
is it me or him?
All right.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Because my sound.
I hear you now. Yeah. If you have your phone on, it might be causing an echo. Okay.
All right. How about it?
There's an echo. Your phone's off, right?
Yeah, no,
phone is off.
Okay, I think she's good now.
It's my fault, Joe.
Okay. How's that?
It's perfect. No, it's my fault. I keep trying to do things, and I open a new tab, and I forget the old one's open.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. No problem. And this is the question and answer with Hansi, right?
It is. So Hansi's going to join us soon. I'll ping her, actually. She's been emailing me.
Okay.
And I'll tell her you're here. All right. I'm going to figure it out in a minute.
Okay. You're doing better than I am.
Oh man, and I hate typing with my like little fingers. I'm like, could I just talk? Thank you so much for coming early, by the way, and making sure this works.
Oh, that's all right. I figured I'd mess it up, so
I'm right there with you. So what are you doing for fun? You staying home and staying safe and healthy and away from cooties?
Yeah, I'm staying home pretty much, but I, once in a while I go to town, put on my little mask and go shopping to get some things that we need, but mostly I'm home. I made a trip to Big Sandy the other day, a town near here, with my mask to do some research for an article I'm writing for Texas Highways on a musician that's pretty much forgotten named Henry Thomas, Henry Ragtime Texas Thomas. And so I went there and just look at the town and go to their little museum, which they opened for me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working. Hi, Hansi.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. I miss you.
Yeah, you too. Your hair looks great. It's really red. I like it.
I do too.
Sunset and sawdust.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, this is the most fun I've had all day, and I should probably get back to work. But
are you going to moderate, or is Joe leading?
What are we doing? Yeah, how are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So how do you want?
I know it's a question and answer, but I didn't know exactly how the program was set.
Yeah. Are you going to moderate, or can we just let Joe lead? Because if anyone can.
Well,
is somebody going to ask questions? Are they going to send questions in? Is that what we're hoping for anyway?
There, you guys can chat, and there, if over on the right of the screen, there's event chat.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah. Convention and session chat, and no one's here yet.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
so
Hansi,
let's tell each other lots of secrets that we can't record.
Hansi, could you bring your sound up a hair? I can't hear you very well.
It's all the way up.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, let me.
I can get by. I can hear you well enough to get by. I just can't hear you sharply.
Okay. Well, I don't speak sharply.
There you are. I hear you now.
Hey, Mom, can I call you later?
Yeah.
I so totally understand, because I did SqueeCon 2 years ago, and I just decided to make my own con for my friends who weren't included in a lot of other cons, and I had no idea how to do it, and it was like insane amount of work. I ended up like sick with the flu the day of the con because I just was like pushed myself so far, and Dave actually had to take me, and I have no like memories of what happened, but everyone else seemed to have a good time, so I understand the
how are we doing time wise? Let's see. Okay. We got about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you just finish the showing? Or did they just finish the showing earlier?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we just finished that. I needed to put a watermark on it.
All hail the Popcorn King.
Yeah, it's just finished.
Just finished. It's weird not having a crowd, not knowing what's going on, you know?
It is.
Is there one person there? Is it just your pets watching it? What's going on?
Up in the right, we got a couple people already.
Let's see. No,
okay.
I mean, we got some nice comments during the screening.
Good.
Yeah, it says here cheering and applauding and clapping. So, okay, we got that's good. That's terrific.
All right. This vote.
I think we got 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Okay, Yoda.
I'll be back.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm good. I had a really bad day understanding. We lost you.
Distribution?
Yeah, but it lost you visually.
Yeah, it's a tough gig. I've been, I've never done it like you're doing it, but I've been peripherally involved with other people doing it, and it's quite the drain.
Oh yeah. The Zoom things are really, really hard. They're actually much more exhausting than going to a con.
And it's more exhausting now because of the situation, but also, distribution is always in the favor of the distributors. So it's hard to find the proper one,
And even just like, I have to learn all the words and what questions to ask, because I didn't even understand there were different structures of companies. So like, it's like, I saw it somewhere and I don't know who said it, but
I knew there was, but I didn't know what they were.
You're either growing or creating, So I'm in the growing stage of this right now, which isn't as much fun as the creating stage. But
I'm always creating too, so I know what you mean. Yeah,
but there's there's stuff you have to learn as you go, and sometimes it's hard. Although you got all
no.
So we lost his video.
What's that?
Emily Friedman in the corner who's asking to ask a question. You want me to invite her in?
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Go ahead.
Can you do some?
Are you still there, Hansi?
I'm here.
I can. There's a little thing where I click a plus and I can invite someone in to share their videos. So we'll try it and see if Emily's still there.
No, but Joe, you can't see Joe.
Yeah, I can see Joe.
I can't.
You bet she can. I don't know why.
I don't know either.
You may have to go on sound. You may have to get.
Did you turn off anything, Joe?
Nothing.
That sucks.
It is what it is. I'm looking to see if anything's turned itself off, and everything looks
is there a
right.
little, video thing with an X on it or anything?
I've got an audience member, Jerry, who says he sees all three of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
All
Let's
right.
roll.
You want me to let someone in on camera and they can ask you a question?
Sure, but Emily's my niece.
Sure.
We're going to welcome Todd Clark.
Utter alchemy, yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I tried it. Todd, I'm sorry. Maybe I did the wrong thing. You can try it again.
Todd Clark. Oh, that's a shame. Okay.
Maybe Todd will try again.
And I've got lists that people that do see us all. I see and hear all three of you.
Okay, so I'll just say, anyone got any questions?
Yep.
Yeah, Todd had a question, but we haven't been able to get him in.
But maybe we can just get it from the chat.
I'm asking him.
Okay. Did you get him in?
Not yet, but I'm pinging him in the chat.
Well, let me do this since we haven't. Emily did ask a question, and she seemed to have enjoyed it. And it's not so much she's asked a question, but she's been very complimentary, which I appreciate. And I know Hansi appreciates. And thank you, Emily Friedman. And let me see if she has several here that questions. Let's see what we got here. I think they're all just nice appreciations, and that's well respected on this end. Right?
Jerry Knowles has a question. What are the differences in level of fun and difficulties in writing novels versus screenplays?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's as far as a documentary goes, Hansi doesn't write a screenplay. Explain to you how she does that, and then I'll come back to me and I'll explain that from my perspective.
Yeah, as I've learned from hanging out with writers so much lately, there you are again, Joe. Yay! Okay, I feel much better now. He's my Yoda. As I've discovered from hanging out with writers, I'm a pantser. I just go and shoot and see what happens and see if it works, and then I try to find the story in the footage. I don't plan anything. I don't write anything because I think that's not documentary if you already choose what it's about. You have to see. It's kind of like somewhere between oral history and like fandom, observation, participation.
That oral history thing really hits home. That's interesting. I can see that. And if you're talking about writing novels or screenplays, The biggest problem with a screenplay is that you only have 90 minutes or 110 minutes usually. And so everything that you do has to be contained within that time. And it's an external medium more than an internal medium. You can suggest certain things. You can even, have people talking as narration, voiceover on film. But everything is pretty much done through the scenes and through the dialogue. And depending on how good a dialogue writer you are and how good your actors are at handling that, then you can often get away with more of that. But in a novel, you get to be the director, the producer, all the actors, the sound effects, the dogs barking in the nighttime. Right. And so you can be every character, and every character in there is you in some form or another, be they male, female, animals, made up mythological characters. That's all you're doing is you're expressing your creative impulses through your brain and into your fingers, and then finally into whatever it is you produce. But I find film writing sort of like, and I don't mean this offensively, but I find it like toy writing. It's not like real writing. It's a different form of writing. And I try to write it as well as I can. I try to make it poetic. I try to make it interesting so that when you read a screenplay, you want to see this as a film. But the difference is that when you finish it, you hand it over to a producer, a director, actors, even the people that build the sets, and then it becomes a multitude of interpretations, which means that whatever you have come up with, it's not that. It's that kind of interpretation, or you have somebody that meddles with the script, sometimes improving it, sometimes not in improving it. So you have to realize that when you go into that, it's a community, a job. And that's why I feel it's more, I don't think it's an art. I'm sorry. I think it's a craft. I think it's an art if it turns out well, and that if everybody involved, makes it work. But I think it's a craft in the sense that you're creating something that's to be interpreted by other people. You may write an artistic piece, but as soon as you finish with it, it's to be interpreted, which makes it, to me, a craft. It's understanding that you have to have enough, you have to be able to get everything in a certain time. You have to be able to sometimes write it directly for an actor. That does happen too. Or you have to write it for a producer or a director. So to me, that makes it like a little bit more like carpentry work than like, painting on the river in Paris or something.
Yeah, I think I see documentary as a collage. For me, that's how that works. I'm importing different pieces of things to express how I feel about, the story or express the story, but I don't go in saying this is the story.
Right. And I don't mean to lessen it. I'm just saying that everybody's part in it. You may do the most artistic piece you can, but it's still a craft because it's part of a larger whole.
Yeah, no, it's a
and
craft.
that I don't believe in the
it's
right. I don't believe in the auteur theory. I don't believe that the director is the end all. There may be some exceptions where if they produce it, direct it, act in it, write it, build the sets and all that. And there are some people like John Sayles come close to that.
Well, there are, like Peck and Paw auteur. I think there were auteurs, but I don't think that's the general nature of filmmaking. I think it's a very collaborative process.
Yeah, but I think even then, Peckinpah has to depend on the interpretation of his actors, and he may in fact put a sort of push on those actors to do what he wants. But you're only going to tell people like Steve McQueen or people like William Holden so much before they are still going to say, "Hey, I see it this way."
Yeah, no.
So no matter what, somebody always interprets it, and if you're building a film based on actors who already have a cinematic history, you can't help but see them as that person. That's why I love a film when you see it and it's nobody you know, and it's good. It's good.
Because then it's fresh.
Okay, we have another question.
Do we have one? Hi, Eric.
Yes.
Eric.
Well, actually, I'm one of the people who are helping run this, so I don't have any questions.
Yeah, I know you are, but I still hope you had a question.
Well, okay. I guess, are you still have a daily practice doing your martial arts, and how does that impact your writing and your energy around writing?
Well, because of the virus, we've had to close up. I'm hoping that, we plan to certainly start back. But, I practice at home some, but the truth of the matter is I've gotten older. When something like this comes on, I'm lost some of the energy to do that, because I'm putting that energy into other things that I'm going to be able to do even longer. But I'll be 70 years old next year. And I intend to keep doing martial arts. Doing martial arts until I'm, old enough to know that this is the time to quit. I don't intend to become the guy doddering around on the mat. So far, I'm not that, and I think I've maintained quite well. And I just miss the fact of having I have one student, and I actually deal with him on the philosophical and conceptual side of it through text and emails and stuff, because that's also part of what I teach when you get past a certain level. And it's not a philosophy, my philosophy, so much as it's an approach to how you look at martial arts. And you look at martial arts as part of being life affirming, and it's also about thinking in a certain way. Martial arts is the main component to me being a writer in one way. I wanted to be a writer before I wanted to be a martial artist, but martial arts taught me how to be one. And so to me, that it's very valuable. And even if you get to the point, and you will if you live long enough, and I arrive at that point in which I have to hang my belt on the peg and pass it on to my inheritor, I realize that I still am a martial artist, but it's more mental. It becomes more mental and emotional.
But I think it is very evident in your discipline practice. In terms of like the way you write, it's all a discipline for
right.
you, and
Well, I've always thought the key to success as a writer is showing up, and I show up every morning. I usually don't work more than 3 hours. Sometimes I work less than that, and I never go past it, except in rare cases when I might come back in the afternoon or in the evening if I have a contract that's pushing me, or I have a story that for some other reason I want to write along with the novel I'm writing. But 99% of the time, I never write more than 3 hours. And I would be a liar if I didn't say I frequently write less. But when I sit down to write, it comes out. As soon as my fingers touch those keys, my brain fires up. It's really rare, and it does happen, but it's really rare that I have a bad morning and can't create anything. And I learned a lot of things is I don't believe in waiting for inspiration, because you are the inspiration. And I believe that when sometimes you don't feel inspired, you're not doing any worse or any better than when you do feel inspired.
Yeah.
I've looked at some of those days when I felt really inspired and they were no better than the others. And sometimes they weren't as good. I just felt good that day. I was just having a really good day. It was like that day was a permanent erection. And then, hey, this is great. But then the next day you go, well, what?
I would have said
really
it's a real journeyman's type of way of looking at things. You get up, you do your job.
It is.
It's a very blue collar way of looking at art, which I really like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always thought of myself as a blue collar writer, but I don't think of myself as a hack. And I think those are two different things. Some people have this illusion that if you show up or that if you're productive, that you must be hacking it out. I don't feel that way at all. I feel that I do the work that I believe in and that I have heart for. But the advantage I have is that I have a lot of things I want to do. I have a lot of heart for the things I want to do, and the ideas just keep coming. Now, one day somebody may turn off the tap, it'll be me in some way or another. If it happens, your brain will quit or you'll, whatever. But for me, I feel I'm as imaginative now as I ever was. And I don't feel obligated to repeat myself. I don't feel obligated. I don't sit down and say, this has got to be better than the last one. I just say, what do I want to tell right now? I write it. And sometimes it is better. Sometimes it's not. And sometimes it's as good as I can do in the moment, but it's the moment that I have.
I think Joe's brain is just wired a different way. Like his creativity, just like he never questions it. He just like puts it out, and he might put it away because it's not, and then come back to it. But like he's got this like direct line to it that, it's really unique. I'm sorry.
I had a lot of things that worked in my favor for this job. That means I probably would have been terrible had I chosen any other job. And one of them is that I don't have a photographic memory, but I and it's not as good now as it once was, but I have a fairly good memory. And I have the ability to read and interpret pretty well, I think.
And quote
I
stuff
am
20
naturally
years
a
later.
fast reader. Yeah, and I'm a fast reader. And when I was younger, I could quote an entire page out of a novel. I couldn't quote the novel, but I would remember a page, and I wouldn't be off with a couple of words. And if I knew the edition, I could tell you what page it was on. And I used to do that. And then, you know, it was come and go, and it was hit or miss. And like I say, it was not photographic. I just loved the stuff so much. I was so interested in books and film and comics and storytelling, and it meant so much to me. And I grew up just poor enough with a very supportive family that I think it made me ambitious creatively. You know, I'm not ambitious necessarily to be rich, but I always wanted to be able to take care of my family, because I always believed that the American dream wasn't about being rich. It was about having a roof over your head, having a steady job that you could depend on, and taking care of your family, feeding them, and being able to do something that you didn't hate. To me, that's what it was originally supposed to be. And it wasn't a promise, it was an opportunity. Now, I'm fully aware that there are people in our society that don't have those opportunities and should. But what I'm saying is that, to me, I got the American dream. And once I got it, I quit feeling like I needed more. I just feel like I wanted to create more. I wanted to create things that were better. And strangely enough, that's been very financially successful for me, and I've done everything wrong.
Or better.
Or better, depending on,
like, in your own process of, you know, your journey of becoming, you know, the artist you are, you have inspired and advised and supported so many other artists to learn how to manage and just have that kind of life. I make art and I have a roof over my head and I can support my family. I mean,
right.
I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want to make art and be paid for my
Right.
work, you know?
Right. Well, and you know, I never, it's not that I always wanted to be as comfortable as I could for my family and things like that. But, you know, I got satisfied in that area a long time ago, because my kids are grown. Our kids are grown. Karen and I we have a nice house, but we don't have anything that's like elaborate. And we can maybe even afford more elaborate, but we don't want it. And we have a lot of property. We own other property throughout town that we, like my martial arts school and condos. That's part of our retirement, you know, and some of it's just things that we ended up buying and that we own and that we will rent out or whatever. But so it's not that I lack ambition to be sure I'm comfortable, but I lack the ambition to be the richest person on the block, to be the biggest bestseller in the the month or whatever it is. I just want to do what I'm doing and hopefully get better in aspects of it.
I mean, that 1% ideal seems horrible. Like, who would want that? I don't want that. I just want
there are people who do, and
there's
the inability to be satisfied. There's the idea that I think I quoted this in More Better Deals, my new novel, is that people that aren't happy with what they have won't be happy with what they want. And I think that was Confucius. I can't remember I believe that was him that said that. And that's so true. You know, certainly there's a limit where you say, I got to do better than this. You know, when I was out working in the fields and, having to catch pennies just to buy food and things like that. But there's a level where you got, well, okay, this is good. I've got a little, things in the background to help me have a little security blanket, but on the other hand, this is good. Life is good. And that's more than you asked. I'm sorry.
Well, how about I read a few of the questions and comments that I see on the chat here, but you guys are doing great. It's entertaining. So let's see. Shirley asks to Hansi, do you have any film festivals lined up?
You know, I'm trying to get distribution for the film. You're the only film festival. Well, we did the Nacogdoches, but that's the only film festival we've done. Otherwise, we did a couple of four walls, so private screenings, and then we were invited to George R. R. Martin's Lansdale Palooza, which was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Having George R. R. Martin moderate a discussion between me and Joe was pretty much like, I couldn't believe I didn't pass out from flail.
I've known George forever since the 70s, so I don't think of him as George Martin. I think of him as George Martin. I like George, you know, and he's a good writer, and I'm so happy for his success.
Not you.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, like
yeah.
Joe's been my hero since the '80s. I fell in love with his work really early on, and then when we became friends, it was even better because he's Joe. So you just like want to be adopted into the Lansdale family. You want to.
You have been adopted.
You just and they were so good as advisors for people in the arts. They're so generous with their experience and so there's no bullshitting there. I mean, in this industry, that is such a rarity.
It can be tough.
I'm sorry, was there somebody wanted a question?
All right, so Jerry asks, what are differences in level of fun and difficulties in writing novels versus screenplays?
Oh,
screenplays to me are not as much fun because they're fun enough to write when you're doing them, but knowing full well that it's unlikely it'll get made, even if you've gotten paid. And knowing full well that if it is made, it's got a rare chance of being any good. Knowing that if it is any good, it's probably an accident, and that it's rare that everything is done right by everybody. Egos are the big problem. It's not that I don't have one, but the fact is that when you create something, you're the writer, you feel like you've done the creating. And so you have to have that mindset. And my son has it. He's a screenplay writer too. And he has the mindset to work with other people and to know it's more of a community thing. And I think it's just because I've spent so much time, as a novelist and as a short story writer, that screenwriting is a little different to me. I've done about 15, 16 screenplays and I've sold all of them. And I did for animation, for Batman the Animated Series, and Superman the Animated Series. I wrote Son of Batman, which is one of the animated films that that DC Comics did. And I've done a script for Hap and Leonard, and I've done things for Ridley Scott and John Irvin, not Irving, but Irvin, and John Wells, and things, none of which were ever made. Sometimes for, the director bailed, or somebody lost interest, or it's going to cost too much money, or cultural interest changed, So to me, that's the thing I don't like about film. If I write a novel or a short story, reasonably depend on that being published and the way I want it published. That doesn't mean I don't listen to other people, but it means when I write, I don't care what anybody thinks. And when it's done, I still don't care much. But I try to listen in case I've made a mistake and have done something that's obvious, And but as far as like people coming in, I think you ought to do this because I think it would be great to go off on this. No, I'm not interested. I write your own damn novel.
That's what I always say with film. Make your own fucking doc.
Right. I'm with you on that. I get that.
But Joe was great. Like he gave me notes throughout, which were really helpful because, like, for God's sake, having Joe Lansdale and his family giving you notes on your film, like, it's going to be good. So I mean, it was always very much it's your film. You make the final decision.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and like 97%. He was right.
Well, like on Hap and Leonard, they would do scripts and stuff, and I would look at them. And I was a co-executive producer on there, so I took it into my head that I had the right to make comments, and they took it into their head that they had the right to ignore them. And and the truth is that they did have that right, and that means I can be very definitive about what I think's right and whatever. But once I've said that and I've got my point across, then I can accept that they're going to do something else. I may not like it, but there's only so much you can control in life. And I mean, there's all sorts of things. I absolutely adore the Hap and Leonard series. I love Cold in July and Bubba Hotep that they've made, films of mine, TV series. I came out very pleased. That doesn't mean I think that they're Bubba Hotep. I'm almost 100% with. I pretty much am. Cold in July, it's maybe a small percentage. The Hap and Leonard series, it's a larger percentage because there's, many episodes and 3 seasons.
And you were also there the whole first season, right? When they were shooting.
What's that?
You were there.
I was there for the first season completely. And for the second season, I was banned from the set. And for the third season, I was... They got a showrunner in who is just great, by the way. He's John Work. He's a friend of mine, and he did a great job. But he wasn't used to me. And when you see an email of mine, if you don't know me, you know, because I can be pretty blunt too. And if I think something's wrong, I'm just being blunt. You don't have to do it, you know. And I think once he learned that, we were cool. You know?
Yeah, no,
So no problem there. And he did such a marvelous job.
Yeah, I mean, your entire family.
I'm not trying to be everybody's buddy. You know?
After the first screening of my film, his entire family sent me like notes. Casey was the first one. Like,
my dog Mickey had quite a few wise suggestions.
Yeah, and Karen's the only thing was turn up my daughter's songs.
yeah. Let's hear her. Well, you know, that is true. You know, that's always something you get somebody's music and then you can't hear it, and you think, well. Yeah. What's the point? You know, what's the point? Any other questions? I don't want to.
Well, let's see.
Mama Bear taking care of.
We've got a couple of comments. Like Cliff writes two things. One, love that film. Great documentary.
Yay!
And then Cliff also writes, Bubba Hotep is well-crafted art, I'm thinking.
Yes.
Well, you know, it's one of those I think came out art, but it's craft, you know, but one thing about it is that when you have somebody like Coscarelli who produced it, directed it, and wrote the script, and very much a lot of other aspects of it, that it's closer to that opportunity to be art. And also you had such great interpreters of the material like Ozzie Davis and Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody was good on it, but they were just amazing.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased to have that opportunity to, you know, see them do that material.
And I think it becomes art because it's not just about, you know, a monster. It's about, you know, this sadness of being alone, you know, at an old age, and how many people are forgotten. And even Elvis could be forgotten, you know, and but told in this way, like cancer on his penis.
Exactly. You know, the thing is that I've had so many things optioned. And when I would see the screenplays they did, I was glad they didn't get made. Some of the screenplays were well done, but they missed the whole point.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's one story of mine, The Pit, that's been optioned maybe 15 times and never made. And there was one fair screenplay of it. But the thing is, it has a basic scene where these people fight in a pit. And that's all the movie people see. Oh, this is right. We'll hire some wrestlers and we'll put them in the pit. And we'll, you know, and all they're seeing is that this could be an action movie. And it's got the opportunity to be more than that. That's why I love Jim Mickle and Nick D'Amici's approach to the Hap and Leonard series, because they realized it wasn't just about action, and that the action had consequences, and not always good ones. You know, our guys didn't always do right. They didn't always make the right choices, and that's part of the series. It isn't that they're a bunch of heroes. They're anti-heroes, and sometimes they're bad men, not meaning to be, but they are. And so The Pit was one of those stories that was about racism. It was about somebody wanting to be valuable for some reason in his life because nothing else in his life had ever worked. And so there's that kind of stuff is too heavy for them, or they don't want to deal with that. So let's just do the fight part. And so that's another reason that film can be very disappointing. And it's another reason I can be so happy with the results of the ones we've been talking about.
Yeah, I haven't seen the film. I just reread the book a couple months ago, and I had read it since the 80s, and I forgot like how shocking it is. And how personal it
is. They never made the pit, but they came close a few times. And I made a lot of money off of it, so. and that the other thing too is when you sign on that dotted line, you've agreed. You know, you said, okay, you can take this and, you know, drive a duck up its butt if you want, but you hope they don't.
Wow.
I'm going to just print that on all my new contracts. This is drive a duck up its butt. Lessons from Joe Lansdale.
All right. So a question regarding future projects. Todd Clark asks, I believe for Hansi, if you had an unlimited budget, what would you like to have added to your documentary?
I have no budget whatsoever. I have my credit cards to make this film. I have made it back between the extra money they were giving us for COVID and you know, selling shirts and stuff like that. But like, Yeah, no, I have no fucking budget whatsoever. Like, I have 10 grand in credit cards I can use, and like I had to bring it down so that I could pay for the DVD production. But yeah, I got nothing.
Wow.
But that's
And,
not
and still looking for distribution. Still looking for distribution.
Well, yeah, I need distribution, you know, and I know you're not supposed to say my budget was low because then they'll screw you, but they're gonna screw me anyway. So
right, yeah. Aren't you trying to do a film with John Skip or something
we were
related
to
to
Splatterpunk doc, but you know, we have to wait until we can travel.
Yeah.
I suggested Zoom, but he didn't want to do that, so I understand.
So Derek Johnson asks, you mentioned Burroughs being your key influence. How big an influence was Robert E. Howard?
Who mentioned Burroughs?
I think
that would be Joe.
Yeah, Burroughs, yeah.
I was thinking William.
Yeah, I'm William S. Burroughs. I've also read, but he's not an influence much. I think Howard. Yeah, I think Howard was an influence, but I think both of them were influences, and in different ways and in different moments in time. And for me, Robert E. Howard was more that he was a Texan that made his living writing stories and living in a small town just like I did. And so that was more the inspiration even than the stories, you know, which are, you know, they're fine. But for me, it's that a human being could get up in the morning and write their own stories, and somebody would give you a check and you could write another one and pay your bills. So there's an incredible introduction that Howard wrote for Wolf's Head. I believe it's Wolf's Head. I could be wrong, but Wolf's Head, a collection of short stories. And in that, he talks about not having some son of a bitch standing over him, telling him what to do. And I went, that's me. That's me. Even as a young man, even as a teenager, I knew that was me. And that's his major influence. And of course, the stories, I think the color and the tapestry and the fact that I could sense underneath all of it was Texas. No matter what you write, you are writing about who you are, and you're writing about your time. If you write history, you're still writing about your time. No matter how hard you try not to, you are.
Well, all right. Well, Hansi and Joe, thank you so much for making yourself available to everyone here at ArmadilloCon. This is the official end of it. I mean, you guys are welcome to stay and chat some more. But because, you know, unlike
I have a reading.
Yeah, you have a reading.
I do have a reading at 4. I have a reading at 4, and I have a panel at 7, a tachyon panel.
All right. Well, is there anything?
So I'm not through.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to say to them as you before you sign off? Then.
Yes.
Well, I hope you like the documentary. That's
yeah.
What I'd
Support
say.
the documentary.
And if you didn't, shut up.
Tweet to Shudder, Netflix, Hulu, everybody. Tell them to you know, they want to distribute this because there's an audience for it, and it's a really good film. And we have Joe fucking Lansdale.
There's a lot of interest in it. It's just that, there's a lot of interest in distributing it. That's not the problem. It's getting the proper deal where Hansi doesn't end up just holding an empty sack.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you know, send out you know, thoughts and prayers and tweets.
Tweets.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you know, some of the deals that have come across, there've been people interested, but it's sort of like, and when we get through, I want your underwear and socks too. So no.
Yeah, the deals weren't good deals for me, and I have had a very bad experience with my first feature, so I'm very, very cautious now and have lawyers and all that stuff. So I'm waiting for like a proper deal because it deserves it. You know?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and I will be doing an interview with Van the Puppet. I'm so psyched. Van the Austin Puppet.
Oh, Van will so take care of you. That puppet is nothing but love and introspection.
I just want to have Dada the whole thing.
Yeah, he is fun. My dog Nicky hears Hansi's voice, and he never forgets anybody. And he was like, "Is that Aunt Hansi?" Nicky dog. See you later.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.